constructed. All units.
Hello, it's TruthSOSeeker here, and I'm here with you guys for not a 1v1, but a 2v2. I don't do 2s and 3s very much, as you probably can tell if you've been on my channel for any amount of time, but I do play them occasionally, just for fun. See, I'm playing Cutter, and he's playing Isabel. We're just kind of running, I'm not going to say cheesy combos, but, I mean, Isabel, she can be really good late game with her tanks, and we're going to kind of bank on that. So I'm running Cutter. I like running either Cutter or Atriox in 2s and 3s, just because Atriox you can expand all over the place, and Cutter, you know, he has his rush down ability, and I feel like both of them are very nice options to have, at least. So since we're running double UNSC, I could definitely see this being a scary combo in an early game, because you can basically dominate. I think you can dominate at least early forces. I know, like, if you're fighting against, say, a Shipmaster, he can teleport grunts into you, and even as just a Covenant in general, they can try and walk grunts into you. But I feel as long as you're relatively careful, you can mostly avoid any circumstances where that would happen. But you see, I'm just going to be making some Marines and trying to go for the nodes, because from the little knowledge I know of 2s and 3s, going for the nodes is much, much more important than going for them in 1s, because the power node is distributed to everybody. So, for example, on this 2v2, if I cap a power node, not only do I get the power, but my ally gets the power, and that makes it basically like you're capping 2 nodes when you cap one, which is kind of a big deal. It's even more of a big deal in 3s. Capping nodes as soon as possible in 3s is definitely something that would be a factor, no doubt. We see I have some Marines here now. I'm just going to go ahead and start capping this node right away here. I do like capping them fast, but honestly, if my ally had sent me maybe a Marine or both Marines down, we could have just capped it immediately. I guess that could be one downside to going double UNSC, is it's I'd rather not have 2 Marines alone capping a node, because I think you can do that with 2, but it's kind of, I don't know, I would prefer to have 3 Marines, as I like having 3 grunts. But yeah, you see I'm just going capping nodes, I'm expanding with more Marines. Something I could have done different, that just, you know, in hindsight, is I should have made a barracks. I mean, I do on my mini base, and I suppose that's fine, but I need to be really producing, or at least preparing to produce, flamethrowers and the like, because as you'll see what our opponent's composition consists of, they go for a kind of marine flamethrower sniper, what is it called, chopper build, and just going raw Marines really doesn't stop that. It somewhat fights against the choppers, it somewhat fights against the enemy Marines, but I mean, when it comes to going against enemy snipers and flamethrowers, they just kind of wreck Marines. Even with the grenade throw, you think about how much they do, the damage-wise that they do, and it's nothing. It's really nothing. You can have like 3 Marines grenade throw a flamethrower, and maybe it half healths it. I don't know. But yeah, here I see, okay, he has a bunch of flamethrowers, and at this point I call out that he's going flamethrowers, and see I immediately start to get some turrets up. Because I go basically to full panic mode that he would try to do a push on my base, which he could have, I guess, tried to do. See, I'm getting a barracks up now to try and get snipers. Even in 1v1, I don't really know when you should be going for snipers. I feel like going for them in the opening is kind of not what you want to do, just because the enemy will rush you down with flamethrowers and cheese you if you just try to go mass snipers. Even more so here, I think it's kind of risky because, yeah, they have choppers, so if they get their choppers in, they can just ram the snipers and kill them like that. And it's 150 power per sniper, so it's really, you gotta really be careful with those things if you're going to make them. So basically what I'm trying to say is I think maybe going flamethrowers would have been a better option. Flamethrowers and Marines. That would have also at least accelerated my tech too, to say the least. See, I'm going to try and try and pick up an expo here. It's basically a gamble anytime trying to go for expansions this early on, because I definitely feel that they can deny it. You see my allies also expanding. And I guess you could argue that, okay, our bases are really far apart, so if they're going to be denying one of them, then maybe we can get the other up. And I think that's fine. But it's just worth at least mentioning that it is a gamble. At least whenever it gets finished. When it's not finished, you can just DQ it, and it's not even a gamble. You literally just made them walk over. But once it gets up, then you only get half of the money back. So you're investing 250 supplies and 100 power at that point. But you see, I'm trying to have units ready to try and defend. I'm using the hill, and I'm going to try and potentially defend if he pushes on that expansion right now. See, I'm actually nearing max pop as well. I actually see he's on the hill there. And you see, I try to get some grenades thrown off, but you see, I'm just really not doing, honestly, that much damage to his units. I was actually kind of spooked just looking at it, seeing how I wasn't really doing much. See, he's sending a flamethrower over to that power node. I'm going to go ahead and try and go back and fight for that. Right now, they're actually pushing with choppers on the other side of the map on my allies' mini-base. As you can see here, he was thinking about trying to engage, but he even has heavy metal. So yeah, they're probably just going to back off and not fight him. Heavy metal plus heal. There's no real need for choppers to risk it, especially if he has grenade throw. So I see he has his ball here. And I didn't realize what was going on at the time, but actually they were sending their choppers over to where I'm at right now. So while I'm pushing in away from basically protection to go and try and fight, because I figured maybe I can get some sort of vantage point, he just now tells me that the choppers are coming over. And I guess I should have looked for it. But this is one thing I think that you need to really try and avoid in 2v2 is... You notice how this whole time I've been fighting away from my ally and vice versa from my ally. We haven't really been basically fighting together. And I think that's, I think that's naturally just going to be something you want to avoid because whenever you have both armies together like this, obviously they're going to do more damage than separately. So at this point I'm getting pretty worried because they basically took my pop out. Their armies are still sitting rather strong. They're going to take out my expo, definitely. And now I'm more or less forced to sit back on defense. We're not going to be able to save that base. We more or less see that. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna just end up having to turtle up now because we need to rely on the turrets and some sort of defender's advantage. Even though my pop was basically crushed, I even had the ODSTs, and they're like 1,000 supplies, so losing that's a little unfortunate. I actually thought I was going to be able to take it earlier whenever I first dropped them, but didn't turn out to be the case. So they're coming in for a push now. And this is just my opinion, but I don't really know what I think about ramming like that. I've tried doing rams in the past, but whenever you're ramming a massive amount of Marines, unless they're all on a very small ball and you can get massive damage output on it, I'm not really sure how much it's worth it. Because I think it's like 3 grenade throws just flat out kills a chopper. So if you had them all unit rammed, all your choppers are going to be in the same spot. And if they get grenade throws on that's going to be splash on all your choppers, and you could just potentially lose all of them instantly. But yeah, you see I upgraded one turret to anti-infantry and one turret to anti-vehicle because I'm not really sure which one I should be upgrading to because, of course, you can only pick one. So I got my sniper trying to hide in the back there, but I think he had a sniper that picked me off. But you see my ally here, he's going Cyclops now, and I'm still going Marines because they are going air now. You can see the Hornet there. And at least with the Marines, I'll be able to give some sort of light anti-air until we can get some legitimate anti-air out. But you see it has an engineer. I still have one turret up, but it's basically dead now. So I'm going to have to try and rebuild them whenever I get the chance here. But we've basically managed to hold the line, to say the least, and push them out. Which I was honestly kind of surprised. I was thinking we were just going to fall apart. But yeah, since we pushed them off, we're going to try and push back out now and fight somewhat for the power nodes. I need to be trying to get a second generator up here somewhat soon. I guess I just didn't want to self-destruct one of my pads because I think they're all heavies. I could be wrong on that, but I was under the impression they were all heavies. My ally was still on a double, which was very good for us because at least that meant that he would be able to more or less carry us until we could do something else. You see, I actually self-destruct that because I really wanted a power income because I felt I was really behind. I'm not sure. I'm definitely going to want to get a barracks backup, to say the least. But yeah, I could really feel that I was suffering for power. And that's why I more or less went in for that. So you see he still has some Hornets. But yeah, they have Hornets and Banshees and the Engineer, so we know they're at least going double air, potentially something else, but we know they at least have Apexes and air pads. So we're going to have to incorporate some sort of anti-air into our army in some way. See, I'm just trying to push submarines out to go for the nodes. One nice thing about Cutter is his guys cap super fast. But I finally have Tech 2 queued up. I'm again playing kind of the gambling game, waiting to see if they're going to notice that I took this base. And we're just trying to get an army built up right now. We can't really do too much in terms of pushing because we have some basic units in that sense. We see they have some locusts coming around the corner. And we know we're going to have to try and fend that off in some way. I suppose I could have tried going airpad myself. I think that my ally was going airpad in this game, if I recall correctly. So I think maybe that's why I didn't go for that. But I see he has a Cyclops there. I suppose I could have just pushed in. Maybe I was just waiting for more reinforcements because I knew he had some Hornets over there still. Like, yeah, you see as those 3 Hornets just come in and basically deny me from capping that. But yeah, now I'm going to come down because I have a good bit of Marines and I should be able to trade somewhat efficiently against his Hornets. But I see he kind of pulls away there, and so I'm just going to cap that node now and get ready to come over to help my partner because they have some locusts and they're up on that ridge next to his base right now. Don't know why they haven't pushed yet. It doesn't look like they have, but of course you saw earlier how they were up there. I'm not sure, maybe he managed to push them off or something, but I do know that they come back. So, yeah, basically what we're doing right now is, since we have 4 of the 5 power nodes, we figure that just building up units and trying to keep control of that many nodes was satisfactory. If you saw the minimap, there was a notification that showed that they were hitting his expansion. I don't know if they're just kind of poking in and out, I'm not sure, but they are up there right now, and they're going to push relatively soon, and we're going to need to address that. I did put a Marine in that garrison just to kind of see how developed that expansion was, because I wanted to be ready for it. And he's letting me know that they took out that node and that they're up there. And as for me, I'm a little bit skeptical right now about whether I should immediately go over, because I'm kind of waiting to see where they strike. I would really love to put a Marine in the garrison on the bottom of the map, because I always have this fear that they're going to try and come around from the outskirt, and that I won't be able to see it. You see I have that one Marine in the garrison on their side, so that I know if they're coming from that direction, but they could always come from the, outer range. But yeah, I have Max Pop queued up. At this point, I think he has Max Pop queued up, but that looks like Max Pop for him. Have some Wolverines for the air, have some Marines for the... basically for air, potentially for the Locusts. I have some Nightingales as well, because they're just really good to have. And again, we're just kind of trying to build up. We have an Isabel, so it's worth noting that our late game is going to be our strongest point. Because Isabel's tanks late game is absolutely crushing. But yeah, I see that blue's pushing up here, so I'm going to just drop some ODST squads in. Use their Y abilities, and he drops a gunship, which kind of surprised me that he would drop it right there. But I'm just going to try and pull my guys out. I figure I was able to do some significant damage. And yeah, they actually drop an eradication, a really good eradication on my ally there, and really able to hurt him. So yeah, I go ahead and I get the Cyclops drop. I was thinking about using it, but I wasn't sure. Because in addition to everything he has up there, one Cyclops alone isn't going to do much. But I figure in terms of saving his base, I would drop a gunship because he said he needed it. But honestly, looking at what he has there, he has one Locust. That was really not that good of a call, looking back on it. I don't think a gunship was needed by any means. Yeah, definitely. Just me pushing in should have been satisfactory. But again, though, this is buying my ally time, and that's what we're really playing on here. Is just trying to sit back and buy time for our Isabel to get up to Tech 3. Because once she gets those tanks rolling, I mean, I'm not going to lie, those things are incredibly strong. Potentially one of the strongest options in the game, up there with Colony in terms of endgame strength. See, I was kind of just trying to poke in here, but I don't know. I was thinking about staying. I only have one Wolverine right now, and he does have Rangers, so I suppose pulling out was a fair option. Now I don't have that many Nightingales either. But I'm basically doing the bread and butter of Cutter right now, which is massive amounts of Marines, Nightingales. I could include more Cyclops, potentially for, say, the Locusts. But I definitely need more Wolverines for the air, because it's clear they're both going air. As you can see right there. I think they have a Chosen up there as well. I have my Cyclops drop. Again, I've mentioned this before, but I think I should just drop it. Even if I can't use it in the immediate battle, just having it drop so that it's recharging is always a good thing. So I probably could have just dropped it. We dropped a turret, so we kind of know what's up there. I was thinking about dropping a Cyclops here to try and potentially just go after that one Locust. Because so long as they don't even have a Locust, then their pressure on the base itself is not going to be that strong. But yeah, I'm trying to just poke in, because I'm noticing my Wolverine is actually getting kills. And I've noticed that he's not actually getting kills on me, so I'm trying to micro my Nightingales in and out, if you were able to see there. But yeah, I just got Reinforcements 3, and I have the ODST Assault group, so I'm just about to have the supplies for it as well. So I figure, okay, I can probably try and force him out with this. So yeah, you can see he definitely doesn't have enough to fight with that drop, which is going to force them to do some sort of retreat, which is what we want. Because you see, we have the tanks out now, and the best defense is going to come soon after. So with that, we're finally in a position where we feel that we can actually push out and try and do some sort of actual hit on their base. I have one tank right now. I was thinking about canister, but I mean, for one tank, that's not worth 900 or 800 or whatever it is. But yeah, I'm sitting on max pop, which is a really nice figure to sit on. I see he has some units here, but honestly, I'm just going right up to it because I figured, if anything, I should be able to fight roughly whatever he has to fight with. Go ahead and I finally drop that Cyclops. And his army's kind of just going to fall apart here. But then blue comes in, and he has a lot of air. I have a decent amount of Wolverines. But I'm going to kind of struggle to hold this back a little bit. I know I have Marines, so that they're going to be aiming down the Hornets. But that is a lot of Hornets, and Hornets, in my opinion, are actually a very, very strong option. See, my ally, he's not necessarily helping with this engagement. Oh, he was wanting to Mac, and he kind of missed the Mac a little bit. But, yeah, you see, now that the shield's back up and the Hornets are just over his tanks now, and he doesn't really have any Wolverines to deal with that, so he's gonna, more or less, I think, just pull off for the time being. I finally get a barracks back up because I realized that I've been holding out on getting a barracks for far too long. And I may be wrong, but I don't think that air units are actually covered by the shield, so I think this damage I'm doing with the Wolverines to, say, his Vulture, for example, was actually hitting it. Like, you see that Vulture was basically right next to the base, and it was still getting hit. So I don't think air units can actually get protected by the shield. But yeah, I still have a very sizable army up on offense, and I'm just going to more or less just pressure him further, because I think I still have one Wolverine even left in that group somewhere. Maybe. I can't see it right now, but I thought I saw the missiles coming up. But yeah, I'm going to keep producing Wolverines, because that seems like what they're mostly producing right now is air. I'm going to go ahead and get the Cyclops upgrade and the infantry upgrade, because that's mostly what I'm making. Drops on Eradication, gets a little bit. Honestly, I scaved that pretty well. I didn't really have much in terms of casualty. That's another plus that Cutter has, I think, is that he can maneuver so fast to avoid things like Eradication, and he can always just run in and out of a bad scenario. If he feels that it's a bad scenario, he can just, leave it, which is such a nice option to have. Not gonna lie, I mean, see how next season goes. I may potentially pick up Cutter again, because he is a lot of fun to play. It's just that I haven't had a lot of time to play Halo Wars 2, and with that time I've been mostly just playing Covenant, because I've been trying to at least play semi-decently as one leader. But anyway, we dropped this base. Back to the game. We dropped this base, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to push onto the next base. I have close air support ready, but I don't have nearly enough supplies to actually use it yet. I'm actually in. It's amazing, by the way. I just need to. I'd like to mention this. These Nightlink Eels are ridiculously strong. I know I think they're like, 400, but they're absolutely worth it. Absolutely. They're so good. They heal so much during combat. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. But yeah, we're both showing up on his base now. I go ahead and drop a turret, and he dropped a turret as well. And you see his army was somewhat falling apart, but they drop a gunship, and we just decide that we're going to kind of try and pull out here, because, like you see, we try to stay and fight a little bit, but the gunship is putting a lot of DPS out on us, and we figure, okay, we can kind of just back away and let the gunship go away and then come in. I mean, honestly, maybe we could have stayed anyway, but I suppose backing out is a fine option too. I'm actually a good kid, and I drop the Cyclops whenever it's ready and not just wait on it. And we're just basically going to wait. You see the gunship goes away there, and we're just going to drop back further. I think, yeah, he wanted to get a heal on his troops, because apparently a lot of his troops got red barred. I think he should have, I think he should have had Nightlink Gales in his army. He doesn't really have any right now. And I mean, tanks are good, but a mixture of tanks and Nightlink Gales is a really strong combination. And I mean, I know I have mine, so I can use them on them, but I would like to have my Nightlink Gales reserved for me. Not trying to be greedy, but it's easier to maneuver that way if you are controlling both sides of your army. So yeah, I'm just trying to get a little bit of healed off. I'm not going to heal him up fully because I don't feel there's a need to. I'm just healing up a little bit because he said he wanted to heal up at least some up before we head back in. But yeah, you can even see how much they're healing. It may not seem like a lot, but when you consider that they're healing that much while in combat, that's actually really ridiculous. But yeah, I figure we're healed up enough. I have tier 3 Nightlink Gales, so they're not going to die very easily. And we're going to go ahead and push in now again. I have our gunship this time, so we're going to actually have a gunship for us. And you can see he really doesn't have much here in terms of troops. I'm not really sure if we needed to pull off and heal like we did. It didn't really seem that necessary. He drops a carpet, but it's not going to kill much. I mean, I'm missing one unit. But look at the entrance to his base right now. Look at those hunters as they're coming out. They're literally instantly getting killed as they were coming out. He had something like 9 or 10 hunters, and they were just getting like canister shelled after canister shelled and just dying. It just goes to show how strong Isabel tanks can be late game. It's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, we're just dropping that base, and we're just basically going to steamroll after light blue at this point, because there's not much more he can actually do. See, we're just dropping down stuff whenever we can. And yeah, he's just going to throw in the towel. And that's pretty much going to wrap up this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't do 2v2s very often, so sorry if this wasn't the best quality content. But yeah, either way, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in another one. So take care.